From a sudden landslide in Sichuan, China that almost swept a commuter off the road, and the shocking moment a small plane crash lands on a highway in Florida, to one driver's Hollywood-style escape through a crazy storm in Western Australia, and a freak tornado in Taiwan that almost carried a woman away like Dorothy. Here are 10 shocking moments caught on Dashcam. The Polish capital of Warsaw is home to over 3 million people. They're among the top 10 largest cities in the European Union. On March 30th of 2014, a father and daughter were out for a late-night drive. It was dark that night, like really dark. The father's headlights could only see about 20 to 30 feet ahead of him. So, you can imagine their surprise when they saw a random man walking in the middle of the road.
Jezus Maria! Tato, żyjesz?
It's hard to tell if the mystery man was looking at our driver or had his back turned. Either way, he was mere inches away from disaster. The real question is, why was he walking in the middle of the road? According to the driver, they never got the man's name. He fled the scene, and the police couldn't find him. Meanwhile, the father-daughter team escaped with minor injuries to their necks, arms, wrists, and knees. According to VIA Technologies, a company that specializes in smart car tech, almost everyone in Russia has a dashcam attached to their car. The road conditions aren't great, accidents are pretty common, and the police aren't too helpful. Russians have to do what they can to protect themselves on the highways. On February 23rd of 2016, some Russian drivers kept their dashcam rolling as they pulled onto a busy highway. Everything might look perfectly normal, but watch the delivery truck ahead. If anyone speaks Russian, please let us know what these guys are saying. Props to the driver for not flipping their truck. We imagine it's pretty hard to maintain control after losing a tire. Our drivers and the silver sedan are lucky the truck didn't veer left. It looks like the sedan pulls over to help as our drivers keep going. They're probably happy their camera was recording. Nobody would have believed them if they didn't film it. October 16th of 2019 was another day on the job for Utah Highway Patrol Trooper Ruben Correa. He was working the late shift, watching for speeding vehicles in the early morning. While dealing with a traffic stop, a call came over his radio about an unconscious driver stuck on the train tracks. Ruben ran back to his cruiser, threw on his lights, and raced 14 miles north to reach the driver in time. When he got there, he noticed a car sitting across the tracks. How it got there wasn't important. There was a train coming, and Trooper Correa had to act fast. When he arrived, Correa ran up the hill and saw the driver unconscious. He opened the door and tried to explain the situation, but the driver wasn't responding. That's when he looked over his shoulder and saw the train coming. The horn sent shivers down his spine. You can hear Correa screaming, "We've got a train coming! We've got a train coming!" They were inches away from getting crushed by the train. Upon impact, Correa says the train sent the car flying 30 feet. The driver experienced a medical condition that caused them to lose control and drive over the tracks. Social media crowned Trooper Correa a hero. He insisted he was only doing his job. On August 8th of 2015, Typhoon Sodelor hit Taiwan around 5 o'clock in the morning. It was the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane. We're talking 120-mile-per-hour winds and nearly 50 inches of rain. It was the kind of storm you didn't want to get caught in. In Tainan City in southern Taiwan, a driver kept their dashcam rolling as they tried to outrun a tornado created by the storm. They learned pretty quickly that outrunning a tornado is basically impossible, especially when it's right on top of you. It's not uncommon for typhoons and hurricanes to produce tornadoes. As seen in this video, they tend to occur on the outskirts of the storm. The woman on the ground suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. As for the white minivan, they wound up wedged in a tree several hundred feet down the road. We're not sure where the woman came from. She kind of appears like Dorothy winding up in Oz. We assume she was walking under the trees and the tornado took her by surprise. Imagine you're out for a casual walk, and then all of a sudden, there's a freak tornado right on top of you. Charlestown is a small town in southern New Hampshire. Those who live there are used to heavy snow in the winter and warm days in the spring. Tornadoes are probably the last thing on their mind. On May 16th of 2022, a local named Wes Carter found himself driving down Route 12. It was a little rainy and windy, but it wasn't anything Wes couldn't handle. Then, something appeared up ahead, something he never thought he'd see in southern New Hampshire.
So much follows up, and then all of a sudden, holy Are you okay?
Tornado.
I'll let you go.
Holy
Call me
crap.
back. Call me back.
Hey.
Bye.
Wes may have seen it with his own eyes, but the rest of Charlestown awaited confirmation from the National Weather Service. 24 hours later, they confirmed that an EF1 tornado did in fact pass through Charlestown. Wes was lucky the storm wasn't any stronger. He's also fortunate those power lines didn't fall on his car. The tornado tracked for 4.8 miles with a maximum wind speed of 90 miles per hour. Thankfully, nobody got hurt during the storm. The tornado did knock down a few trees along Route 12. Authorities had to close it temporarily to clear the debris. Perth is a massive coastal city and the capital of Western Australia. They're used to hot and sunny summers and cool and rainy winters. But sometimes, the weather can get a little unpredictable down under. In late February of 2020, a freak thunderstorm passed over Perth in the middle of rush hour. Heavy rain, whipping winds, and dense hail caused millions of dollars in damage across the city. One driver got caught in the middle of it. Their risky ride home looked more like a Hollywood car chase. It looks like a bright and beautiful day in Western Australia. Then, the weather turns on a dime. Our driver can hardly see anything in front of them. Debris flies across the road and narrowly misses their car. Our driver says nope and pulls a quick U-turn to head home. The windshield wipers can hardly keep up with the rain. They're just lucky none of those thick trees fell on their car. Some people pulled over to wait out the storm, but not our brave driver. The damage gets worse as they pull into what we assume is their neighborhood. Emergency services received 150 calls for help once the storm began. Other drivers weren't so lucky. Ask the Uber driver whose roof caved in when a tree landed on their car. Clearwater is a beach city in the Tampa Bay area of South Florida. They're known for their sunny weather and beautiful beaches. Then again, so is all of Tampa Bay. While some locals spend their free time in the water, others take to the sky. On November 19th of 2017, a small plane was forced to make an emergency landing on a busy main road. Traffic was buzzing in every direction. Thankfully, deputies with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department were able to block traffic and offer the plane a short landing strip. Their dashcams captured the dramatic crash. You can see the plane approaching overhead as the deputies take position on the road. It passes maybe 15 feet above our car before crashing off camera. We catch the tail end of the crash upon switching cars. The other deputy races ahead to block oncoming traffic, although they probably would have stopped anyway. As he drives, you can see where the plane obliterated a tree before crashing. Miraculously, the pilot and passenger emerged unharmed. They had recently taken off from Clearwater Airport about 50 miles away. They were on their way back when something went wrong. The pilot was forced to make an emergency landing. To add insult to injury, they were only half a mile away from the airfield. Renshu County is a large community in Sichuan Province, China. They're home to over 1.5 million people whose history dates back to the Qin dynasty, the first dynasty in Imperial China. Renshu sits in the middle of the Sichuan Basin, a lowland area surrounded by mountains. Like most of China, the weather and topography make Renshu County susceptible to random landslides. On June 26th of 2022, a woman learned how random those landslides can be. Her casual morning drive turned into a harrowing nightmare. Her dashcam captured the entire thing. Blink and you'll miss it. When the video slows down, we can see the mountain collapsing across the intersection. It sends a massive wave of dirt and debris screaming toward our driver's car. She's just lucky her windshield held up. The black car going through the intersection narrowly missed a deadly catastrophe. Look how big some of those rocks are. One of those bad boys makes our driver's car look more like a Hot Wheel. From another angle, you can see where the landslide completely blocked one side of the road. Thankfully, this rock slide didn't happen during rush hour traffic. According to local media, nobody got hurt when the mountain collapsed. On May 8th of 2017, Denver, Colorado experienced one of the worst hailstorms in U.S. history. The entire west side of the city was battered with golf ball-sized ice rocks. About 150,000 auto insurance claims were made, plus another 50,000 for homes and businesses. A local couple was driving down I-70 when the hail started falling. The first few stones cracked their windshield immediately. At that point, all they could do was pull over and hope for the best. At what point do you say, okay, time to pull over? There was probably a moment when our driver wanted to keep going, but all those cracks were getting unsafe. Windshields are made with laminated glass. That way, they don't shatter into a million pieces if you get into a crash. But a cracked windshield has the potential to shatter since it's already compromised. Luckily, their phone was the only thing under the back window when it broke. Just look at how much damage the hailstorm caused to their car. Now imagine that times 150,000. In the United States, texting and driving is illegal in 48 states and the District of Columbia. 24 states have bans on using handheld devices in general. Yet, according to 2020 data, texting and driving was responsible for 30,000 distracted driving accidents. One Tulsa police officer learned that lesson the hard way. The video shows two angles, one of the road and one of the inside of the cruiser. You can see the officer texting away while occasionally looking up at the road. Now pay attention to the left side of the screen. With barely any warning, an SUV jumps the median and crashes nearly head-on with the cruiser. Thankfully, nobody was seriously injured. This video was released by the Tulsa Police Department for training purposes. Texting and driving is extremely dangerous. At 55 miles per hour, 5 distracted seconds is like driving across a football field with your eyes shut. Maybe if the officer had put his phone away, he would have seen the SUV jumping over the median. Then again, I think the SUV may be a bit more to blame in this situation. While the officer shouldn't have been texting, the SUV driver was still at fault. It is unclear why they jumped the median and if they were ever arrested. Studies have found that texting and driving has the same impact on your reaction time as drinking 4 beers in an hour. It's also hard to refocus after sending a text. According to AAA, it can take up to 27 seconds to reorient your eyes to the road. A text message is not worth your life. Don't text and drive. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching and be sure to tune in next time.